everyone. I'm so sorry I'm late. I had technical difficulties. I have openly admitted that I'm not the most technical person, so I had trouble signing in and I didn't know why, but thankfully my editor Orhan and my social media helper Amy really helped me, so thanks guys, because I still suck at this. So let's just get started. Okay, so this is from let me get my questions up on the screen. But I also have a lot of questions on Instagram. So this is from Neon Gummy Worms. Nice. When you melt chocolate, do you melt it in the microwave or on the stove? I do both. It depends what I'm using it for. If I'm melting a lot of chocolate, like for brownies or for my double chocolate cookies, which are in my Baking Hacks ebook, I tend to like to do that on the stove, especially if the chocolate is supposed to be melted with butter. Then I do that in a bowl on top of a pot of simmering water. I melt the chocolate that way and I stir it. I prefer that method. But if I'm melting like a little bit of chocolate, for example, when I make the spiders on my Halloween cake, my scaredy cat cake, or no, not scaredy cat cake, scaredy cake. Or just little bits of chocolate, like when I dipped the cookie for my cakies. I do that in the microwave. I just melt it in like 20-second increments and stir it in between each one. Because the microwave is like a real hot blast, so you don't want to burn the chocolate or overheat it. So just do it 20 seconds at a time, stir in between, 20 seconds again, stir, and you want to really stir because sometimes there's enough warmth in the chocolate just to melt the rest of it rather than choosing to overheat it. So that is my advice. Both work well. Okay, so now next, what? Oh, this is from Daryl_210. What are some of the secrets to getting a soft, chewy cookie? Bread flour, all-purpose flour, etc. I use all-purpose flour. I use both white and brown sugar. My chocolate chip cookie recipe is on howtocake.com. It's also in my Baking Hacks ebook where I switch up some of the ingredients. And that's sort of my secret. I think baking time makes a difference. Bread flour wouldn't be the choice for soft and chewy flours. Are different because of the amount of protein in them. Actually, there's another, oh, here we go. This answers Ariel Christina's question too, where she asks about recipes that call for cake flour and how it's different than regular flour. So cake flour has the least amount of protein, and then even you'll see some recipes call for like cornstarch, which is even less. All-purpose has sort of like a normal average blend, and then bread flour has a higher level, making it stronger. So I used to work at a bakery where we baked these big cookies, and they were sold to coffee shops, and coffee shops sold them. And we would make the cookies with bread flour because they were so big, they would always break. So in order to solve that, we started using bread flour, and that allowed the coffee shops to sort of keep them without breaking them and damaging them, even in the shipping. But I like to use all-purpose flour. I think it's more about the balance of sugars and butter, and then of course the baking time, because if you bake it until the edges are just golden, often the center stays nice and soft and chewy. And if you bake it until it's completely golden, you'll get a crispier cookie. So everybody likes their cookies different. Try a lot of different recipes. I've tried hundreds of chocolate chip cookie recipes before I sort of landed on mine and played with mine. There's a lot of great ones out there, and there's a lot of not so great ones out there. So next, here's two questions that are similar. One is from Alicia Henrietta. What is the hardest cake you've ever made? And one is from Nia Cherry. Which cake took the longest to make? Wow. So I made a stack of books on sugar stars. That was both the hardest and the longest. But recently VB8 took the lead because he took 2 days of filming nonstop. And, well, not nonstop, we slept, but normally I would shoot one cake in one day for 14 hours, and BB8 was 2 days of 14 hours. So he was quite intense. And I just got to see the first screening of the new Star Wars movie last night. I was the first audience in Canada to see it, which was so super cool. It was awesome, but I'm not going to ruin it. But it was amazing, and BB-8 was even more amazing on screen. Good thing he's not really made out of cake, because he has a lot to do. Okay, next. What is next? This is from Dancer Girl 4226. What are some tips for a beginner? And you are such an inspiration. Thank you so much. Tips for a beginner that I would give are start smaller. Try to, like when I first started doing novelty cakes, because I'm self-taught, a lot of the things needed for cake decorating are not exactly cheap. So, good pans, fondant, all of that stuff is not necessarily low in price, certainly not where I'm from. So start small. One of the first novelty cakes I made was a little ladybug, and it was just sort of like a little half circle. It doesn't take a ton of fondant. It's not super intricate. It doesn't have to be intricate, and it can still be cute. So that was, that's how I approached it. Plus, in reality, nobody was paying me for the cakes. When I first started, I was making them for my friends or for my family. So I had to do what I could handle and what I could afford. And so that's what I would say. Don't get discouraged. Use your imagination, and you got to try and go with the flow, because there are rules in baking, and it also takes a lot of patience. So you need to have patience, and you need to understand that you are a beginner. And so just, start at the bottom of the ladder and work your way up. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's actually a great technique. So next, this is from Keely Olson. If you could collaborate with anyone on YouTube, who would it be? Love your videos. I was just thinking about this last night, actually, because there's a YouTube channel that I absolutely adore, and it is Superfruit. I love them. I love them. They don't even have to bake with me. They could just come to my kitchen and sing and make me laugh, and I want to be friends with them. That's it. That's my answer. Superfruit, who are two of the guys that are actually in Pentatonics. So they're like extra cool. Okay. Okay, this is from Sophia Sopapia. Where did you learn to bake? You're amazing at it. Thank you very much, Sophia. To be honest, for the most part, I am a self-taught baker. I went to college back in the 90s. But I went to cooking school. So I went to be a chef. I learned a lot about cooking and food, and it was great, but I did know that I preferred baking, and I used to bake at home with my dad. And so for the most part, I'm self-taught. I did work in bakeries, and at one of the bakeries I worked at, it was my job to actually test out new recipes. So my bosses would bring me things they ripped out of magazines or little scribbled pieces of paper, and I would test out new recipes, and that really helped me learn, because I'm the type of person who learns by doing. That's how I learn best. I don't learn best by reading and then doing. So I learned a lot doing that, and it gave me a lot of practice, and practice makes perfect. So worked for me. Okay, next. This is from, I hope I say your name right, Sagaji Tanjali. Oh my God, this looks so delectable, heavenly, toothsome, luscious, palatable, appetizing, piquant, yummy. Come on, you asked for a list of adjectives. Thank you so much. And she suggested that I read this before I get to 1 million followers. So I did that, and thank you. I'm always, when I'm on camera, it's like I'm lost for words. Actually, I'm lost for words a lot, not just on camera. But I feel like I'm always using the same adjectives to describe food. And thank you. I should write this on my hand next time I shoot. Okay, next. This is from Teddy Fromers. I have a cake I make that is much lighter than yours. Can it still be used to be cut and shaped and covered by fondant? Okay, so That's hard for me to say without knowing how light it is and how spongy it is. It depends how much fondant is going on the outside. But I would suggest, if your cake is light and fluffy, A, chill it before you carve it. B, make sure you're using a filling that is extremely sturdy, like ganache. And that would be my suggestion to you, because fondant is heavy. And so that's why sometimes you see those cakes covered in fondant, especially wedding cakes, where you can actually see the layers sort of jutting out at the side, because the fondant is too heavy for the cake and the choice of filling. So you got to be really careful with that. Next, this is from Sophia_W. Oh, I think it's watermelon without any vowels. What are you really just Walter? First of all, okay. What's your favorite color? Oh, at the moment, I'd say it's yellow. I really like yellow, especially like butter yellow. Maybe it's because I look at it a lot. But at the moment, that's my color. It changes, I'll admit it. Okay, next. Oh, I should answer some questions over here. Okay. Next. This is from Calmon213. Do you prefer marshmallow, homemade fondant, or store-bought fondant? I prefer store-bought fondant. Hands down. I'm sorry to disappoint. I know a lot of people make marshmallow fondant, and I get a lot of people writing to me about that because it's the easiest thing for them to do, because fondant is harder to find. So I totally understand that. But I do prefer store-bought fondant. There you go. Next. Oh, this is from Lisa Carlton. Do you prefer to color your own fondant, except for red and black, or buy pre-colored? I do prefer to color my own fondant. You just get a lot of like different hues and nuances in the color. I do buy red and black because coloring it yourself, A, takes so much color, B, changes the consistency, C, your hands look red and sore for days and it doesn't wash off. So I do prefer to color my own fondant. I do buy pre-colored if, like you said, it's red or black or blue or green. Like with the leprechaun hat I made, I did buy green just because it's a great green for a leprechaun and I needed a lot of it, so I just bought green and it worked. It was wonderful. But I do like coloring fondant. It teaches you a lot about color and how it works. And actually, I didn't even have the option to buy pre-colored fondant until about 4 years ago. So I learned by coloring all of my own fondant. And then when pre-colored came, I thought, yay, I'm never making black fondant again. Sometimes I still do make black fondant. If I have little bits left over of different colors that I feel I can't use, like if I have a little bit of dark blue and a little bit of red and a little bit of, specific colors that I used for one thing, I will throw all of that into one pile, knead it, and turn it black, just not to waste it. So sometimes I still do make my own black fondant, but not in large quantities. Okay, next. Wow, there's so many questions. Okay, this is from Vidya. Hi, Vidya. Oh my God, you're amazing. You're here every week, or every 2 weeks rather. Can I use chocolate ganache for crumb coating cakes instead of buttercream? Also, which brand of piping tips do you use, Wilton or Ateco? Wow. Yes, you can use chocolate ganache to crumb coat. And most of my tips are Ateco. I think I have like one Wilton tip, but most of my tips are Ateco, and a lot of my cutters are Ateco too, like my round and square and teardrop and all those cutter sets are Ateco as well. Okay, next. I love this. This is from Jade Tooley. I love the name Jade. How do you come up with your awesome shirts? They are the best things ever. Thank you. We brainstorm that, and we is myself and my partners and producers, Connie and Jocelyn. So we have this email chain where we're constantly brainstorming. We actually have a list of shirts we want to make with great cake puns, but they haven't just suited a video we've done yet. So sometimes we pull from that list when we can. And then sometimes we make it specific to the cake that I'm making, but it's a lot of fun. Sometimes it's really hard, but sometimes it's so much fun that we can't choose which one to do. Next, okay. Okay, I really should stop singing. There's so many questions, I don't know what to pick. Okay. Wow, this is a good question, Vidya. This is an excellent, excellent question. How do you deal with customers who believe that you are pricing way too much for a cake? In India, people are so used to eating tasteless, cheap commercial cakes. Example, a 2-pound or ½ kilogram of chocolate cake for $6. Wow. I don't think I want to know what's in that. How can one compete with that? Yes, it is very hard. One of the hardest things with this job is that it is very undervalued. And because, like I said, cake decorating tools are pricey, so are ingredients. Butter, cocoa, chocolate, cream. These are not cheap ingredients. They're expensive, especially when you use good quality. So, and then on top of that, the time. Nobody's accounting for time. So it's really, really hard. And I learned the hard way, and I spent a lot of years, thank goodness I was young, making cakes and, you know, not charging enough and underselling myself and just letting customers say, oh, but can you do this and can you do that? And so essentially I wasn't making any money from my cakes. Good thing I had a job working in a bakery. So, but it was really, really hard. And I have to say that, you know, 16 years later, it's no different. People still do the exact same thing. Now, because of how to cake it, the amount of daily emails I get requesting cakes and just, you know, suggesting prices or, oh, can I ship it here? And it's like, you know, it's really hard because people have no idea what this is worth. And you're right, it's hard to compete when you can go to a supermarket or a big chain store and buy a really cheap cake, and then people come to you and think that you're offering the same thing. And it's there comes a point where you just can't undersell yourself, especially if you're going to do this for a living. You have to get serious, you have to know your value, you have to know what you spend, how long it takes, and you have to know how to pay yourself. And it's interesting to me because in other areas, people are well aware of price differences. So if I said to you, oh, I'm going to buy a dress at Chanel, you would instantly know that that dress was worth more money than a dress from H&M. And I'm not knocking H&M, I love H&M. But what I'm saying is people are aware of sort of the different pricing standards in brands. But when it comes to cake decorating, it's like, nobody's aware. And I don't know what to do with that. So, oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Sorry, my cousin is watching live from England. Hi, Kieran! Oh my God! Hi, Beverly! Hi, Rupert! Oh my God! Hi, guys! I gotta go to England again. Really. I'm sorry that I cut you off, Vidya, but I hope that answered your question. It's really, really tough. Actually, my cousin Beverly in England is also a cake decorator, and I bet you she would agree. Okay, next. Okay, this is a question from Rick Nene. Why are your cakes so hard? My cakes are usually soft and they leave a lot of crumbs. Okay, so there's different types of cakes. I do not bake sponge cakes. I have nothing against sponge cakes. They're delicious. But for making novelty cakes, I don't think it's a good choice. I use a dense layer cake. And by dense, what that means is there's a lot less crumbs and a lot less air pockets within the cake. I also chill my cakes before I carve them. That's why when you see me doing it, you'll notice I cut it, it cuts clean, and there isn't thousands of crumbs. And that's what would happen if you made A, a lighter cake, and B, you were trying to do that as soon as it was like sort of lukewarm from the oven. So that's why it's very important. I'm a believer in just sort of doing everything right from start to finish. It makes your job way easier than trying. Did you guys hear my stomach growl? I hope you didn't hear that. It just makes your life easier than trying to, you know, fix it along the way. So over the years, I've played with my cake recipes and come to realize what works best. I once made a novelty cake and I used my carrot cake. And the cake was fine, everything was fine, but the cake just felt very volatile because while it stayed together, thank goodness it was just, it was shaped like a suitcase. So thank goodness it was just like a flat slab essentially that was kind of shaped, but it sort of was really soft. Like if I pressed the fondant, I could see if anyone touched this cake, it would have been a disaster. Like it just would have poked right through. And so from that day on, I was thinking to myself, I'm not using carrot cake for a novelty cake anymore. So I've just learned along the way. And after 16 years, there's sort of no point in me going back and thinking, hey, how about if I try this? So that's why when I do novelty cakes on How to Cake It, you'll see they're mostly always chocolate or vanilla. I do chocolate banana, but I've only done that once on How to Cake It. I have to do that again. But in my business, when I did wedding cakes and tiered cakes, I actually have 9 different flavors of cakes because the rules are totally different because wedding cakes have dowels and a whole system inside and they're always bigger on the bottom. So it's just totally different than if you're shaping, you know, a BB-8 and he's a round ball. I wouldn't suggest making that out of a soft cake with a soft filling because in reality, he'll just fall apart. Okay, this is from Baked by Jamality. I hope I said that right. What is your fridge set at so the fondant doesn't sweat when it comes out of the fridge? I remember you said something about it in one of your videos, but I can't remember. Thank you. You're welcome. So I have a special fridge that I've actually had fixed so that it removes the humidity. And it's actually a really low temperature. So in that fridge, all I do is keep my cakes. I can't even store, like I've tried to store milk in there once for a few days and then the milk went bad. That's how sort of low the setting is. So because I do this for a living, that was worth it to me. But before I had that fridge and before I built my kitchen and I used to make cakes at home, I would take all my groceries out and turn it to the lowest setting possible. In order to stop that. Now, I should mention that I don't live in like a tropical climate. So that also affects how much it sweats once it's out of the fridge. If it's going from refrigerator to heat, it's going to sweat no matter what. So I would just suggest putting the fridge at the lowest setting to stop the sweating. And usually they stop sweating after a while. Like I remember I once delivered a wedding cake on a hot summer day, and in the car it was sweating. It was like it worked out. And then at the venue, I had to actually finish putting the cake together and add some stuff on the outside. So I was there for about like an hour and a half, and it did kind of stop sweating. Like once it was at room temperature, it stopped. I did pat it a little with just a paper towel. So sweating is just condensation. There's nothing you can do to stop it for good, but try the lowest setting. Next, this is from Combs_Seymour_Lopez. Do you have a special way you clean your baking pans, and what are some of the do's and don'ts when taking care of them? Yes, I try to clean them right away after I remove my cake, just because nothing irritates me more than trying to scrub a cake pan. When I take my cakes out, I usually put my cake pans in the sink and put water in them. So I soak it. So if there's any like crumbs stuck at the side, I really soak them to make it easier for me. Then I use like a light sort of buffing sponge. You know, those, they're kind of like plastic. They're not the metal type. They're more like plasticky. I use that warm water soap. And when I clean square pans, which I don't enjoy at all, it can be really hard to clean the corners of those pans. So I actually have this special, it's actually a toothbrush, and it's a toothbrush that's made for cleaning your very back teeth. So I bought one of those at the drugstore because I saw it and I thought this would be awesome. And I just use that to clean the corners of my square cake pans. I used to use a toothpick, but this brush is so much better. And you're not using it on your teeth, so you can keep it forever. It's not going to wear out. But that's what I would suggest. And then I turn them over, get as much water out of them as possible, and then I dry them. Okay, next. Okay, next. Okay, I get this question a lot. It's from Rahim Bezar Gur. I hope I said your last name right. Does simple syrup make the cakes sweeter? No, it does not. You're just putting a nice, you're showering one little layer of simple syrup on the cake. You're not saturating the cake. And the reason that it has to be syrup as opposed to water is when you boil the water and the sugar together, it actually becomes thicker. And so that doesn't allow the cake to saturate. If you were to just put water, if you're worried about the sugar, the cake would just soak up water like a sponge, and then you'd have to worry that your cake would become soggy. So that's why we make simple syrup. It's thicker, it's more viscous, and it doesn't saturate the cake. Next, I'm sorry, but I love this question. This is from Kirsten Molkenbauer. Oh, she's 99% unicorn. Jocelyn's really going to love this question because she has a unicorn obsession. Why is Jocelyn so camera shy? I think I'm not the only one who is terribly conscious. Oh, I think I'm not the only one who's terribly curious how she looks like and who she is. Love you. Well, I don't know why she's so camera shy. I try to coax her. I've already warned her that I think she has to make an appearance in 2016. Jocelyn, hope you're watching in Bali. So I don't know why, but there's no reason for it. And I feel that you guys deserve to see Jocelyn. But some of you, a lot of you who follow me on Instagram, you have seen Jocelyn because she's in a few of my pictures and little videos on Instagram. So if you're really, really curious, follow me on Instagram, Yolanda_Gampp, and you will see Jocelyn. Scroll through and you will see Jocelyn. Okay, next. Okay. Hello, Yolanda. This is from Kayla Ellis. I'm watching from a small town in Georgia. Hello, Georgia. I love you. Oh, no. I love your videos and your channel. You are my inspiration. I'm starting out, and my issue is that I cannot get my buttercream to adhere to my cake. Oh, boy. You can see the cake through the icing. Oh, boy. Okay, so I hope that you are crumb coating because that's really going to help you. You want to crumb coat and you want to chill that cake so that that first layer of buttercream is sort of set on your cake and is locking all the crumbs around your cake. And then when you go back and ice, you want to put on like a thicker layer of buttercream. And don't worry about how thick it is because you're going to end up sort of icing most of that away. And then ice your cake, and then I like to use a bench scraper. Sometimes I use a regular spatula. And you basically just keep turning your cake and scraping it away without scraping right down to the bones again. I think that's the best way I can describe it. But icing a cake takes a lot of practice. It really, really does. I worked at a bakery for years where all I did was ice cakes, and it really, really helped me. And I would suggest getting that on lock before you even move on to fondant because it makes all the difference in the world. So good luck. Keep icing cakes. It will work. Maybe try a different buttercream recipe. I don't know if you've tried my Italian meringue buttercream. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, next. Ooh, okay. I get this question a lot. A lot. This is from out.m. Outem. Do you buy or make your fondant? If you buy, which brand do you use? If you don't, how do you make it? My mom and I love your vids. We watch the new ones together every week. It's a huge inspo for both of us. Thank you. And hi to your mom. I buy my fondant. If I made fondant, I would be making fondant for days. And the thought of that makes me very tired. Also, it can be sort of hard on the motor of your mixer if you were constantly making fondant. So I'd rather save my mixer for cake batter and cookies and all those good things. And I use a lot of fondant. So truthfully, I've tried so many brands. For years, I used a brand from Toronto that's called McCall's. It's not available online. I used to go to a store that's actually in Mississauga and get it. I used it because it came in like 10 kilos, so I could buy a lot of it. I've also tried Satin Ice. I've tried Quick. I've tried Wilton flew me out to Chicago, and I retried their fondant because I hadn't tried it for years, and they actually reformulated it 2 years ago. And I have to say, I was totally impressed. So I was totally impressed, and I was kind of shocked. And I really like it. So I've been using that. I used that in my burger cake, which was a video sponsored by Wilton, and that's why they had me try it. And then I actually used it again when I did BB, just because I really loved it and I thought it would cover a sphere really well. And it did. And there's going to be some more sphere cakes this coming week for Christmas. Can you guess what would be in the shape of a sphere? Okay, that's it. No spoilers, just like Star Wars. Okay, next. Oh, this is a good question. Nobody asks this end. Asked me questions from this end. So this is from Paita, sorry, .e. Has anything gone wrong while you make your YouTube videos? Ha ha ha. Yes. When I was making the back to school books, my fridge broke. That was not fun. I just kept putting my cakes in and I noticed they weren't getting cold and I didn't understand what was wrong and the fridge was kind of not sounding right to me and I realized it definitely wasn't working. So that was really, really, really tough. We actually didn't finish filming the video that day because of everything that happened. I had to get somebody to fix my fridge. So that was really tough and frustrating because all the cakes take a long time. And so when there's any kind of glitch, it just takes a longer time. So that went wrong. Then we had a lighting issue in one of the videos. I think I don't remember which one. And you know what? Nobody's really even noticed. It's just us. That there was something wrong with one of the lights and it wasn't working well. But that's what happens, and don't even ask me how those lights work because I don't know. Yeah, but the fridge for me, not working was a big one for me. That I would say that went wrong. And in the beginning, in some of my earlier videos, we actually had different lights that were really hot, like really, really hot. So hot that I'd have to, go out and like dab my forehead. I was like Beyonce for real. I was on stage and I was sweating. And then even for the cakes, because it's so hot and the lights are quite close to me, I kept having to stop and put them in the fridge because I was afraid that they were going to melt. And so we fixed that. Thank goodness we had to get different lights because summer was approaching and we were really, really scared. But yeah, I think that's about it. Nothing horrible. I need wood. Sorry. Nothing terribly wrong. But we're all pretty chill and go with the flow, and we try to make the best of, whatever happens. Okay. So next, okay. Oh, I think I have to go soon. Wow, this has been a very long cake talk. Okay, I'm going to do one last one, and then. Okay, this is from, oh no, I lost it. Okay, this is from Sneha. Oh, I hope I'm saying your name right. Kanakarajan. I hope I said that right. Which is your favorite video on your channel? Who is your favorite YouTuber? Love your videos and keep making more. Okay, my favorite video on my channel. Wow, that's hard. I have to say that it's Walter. I know it doesn't seem like we're friends, but we are. We're friends. Walter, he just comes in and out of my life, One of those people you don't see for a while, but then when you see him, you're like, we know each other. We know each other well. So Walter, my favorite YouTubers are Superfruit because I'm like jealous of how cool they are. I love them. And thank you. So thanks everyone for watching. I'm sorry I was late. I'm going to get better at this in the new year. There's no cake talk on the 31st of December. I can't even believe I'm saying that date because it's New Year's Day and I'm going to be doing a lot with my family and you're all going to be getting ready to like go out and see fireworks and have champagne and do all that great New Year stuff. So I will see you back in January. I can't believe it. Next time I see you, it will be 2016. That's so futuristic. Bye.